Hello, YouTube,
and the internet.
welcome to Bourbon and Zeppelins. I'm David.
I'm Jeremy.
And this is
The
episode
Gist.
2 of The Gist. We were really out of sync that
Episode
time.
2 of the Gist.
Of The Gist. This is the bilingual version. We are in Canada, so sometimes we have to use French words. That's a law.
That's the law.
That's the law.
The law.
So if you haven't seen this show before, or even if you have, here's a quick refresher. Jeremy and I discuss news of the day that we don't really know that well.
But we know most of what the story might be about. We basically know the gist of it.
We have opinions.
And we want to voice them.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, we're trying to have moderate opinions and to discuss in a friendly, cohesive, constructive way.
We don't always see eye to eye
We never see eye to eye.
politically. Well, we're about the same height, so sometimes
We
see
see eye to eye
when we're standing facing each other.
when we face each other.
All right. So the first story.
First thing up today,
Hope I got these buttons right.
Star Wars.
Space Force. So, I'm assuming that all of you have heard the news that Donald Trump has decided to add another branch of the military. This one he's calling Space Force because it's going to be in space.
It's above Air Force, Space Force,
Yeah,
Sea Force.
I guess. That would be a better name than the Navy.
Navy. That's just like a shade of
It should
blue.
just be, like, why is it not like Air Force,
Oh,
Ground
Naval.
Force? Did
That's-
you not
I-
know why it was called the Navy?
I think I probably knew that
I think
somewhere.
the blue was named
I had-
after them. Like,
Well, yeah, it's navy blue.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying, you were like, oh, they're called the Navy. That's the shade of blue. But I think it was the blue was the color of
How do
their
you spell
uniforms.
etymology?
Navy means ship.
Right.
Well,
Navy
Navy blue on Wikipedia.
got its name from the dark blue worn by officers in the British Royal Navy since 1748. Okay.
There we go. See?
So what are the Space Force officers going to be wearing?
We've learned today that the Navy wasn't named after a color.
It was vice versa.
It was vice versa.
That's right.
I'm assuming that the Space Force will wear astronaut suits. Like those big bubbles.
But what color and who's going to design those? That's going to be
Well,
it's going to be very stylish in space.
someone in Trump's family is a fashion designer, right?
Ivanka can design the Space Force suits.
Yeah.
Space Force suits?
Yeah, they'll be very Euro cut.
Yeah. That'll be all right.
I just want them, whatever they have, I want them to have that big 60s bubble thing. That,
The glass all the way around.
Yeah, I shouldn't say 60s, 50s, whatever, like that 50s sci-fi comic book.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I want. They should have have little jetpacks on the back,
Yes.
so they can like jump and give themselves little boosts.
Like Boba Fett.
Like, yeah,
Boba Fett.
like Boba Fett, whoever that is. I just like to say things, make his
Just
nose
like to
bleed.
say things.
Uh,
Brain bleed.
anyway, so Russia has decided.
So they're talking tough.
Talking
They've
tough.
pledged severe repercussions if President Donald Trump's order to set up a new space-oriented military branch violates
The treaty banning nuclear weapons in the cosmos. So I don't know
So
if Trump
they're
ever said that he will put nukes up
So they're
there.
not upset if they set up a space force. They're going to be upset if they put nukes there.
Yeah.
Does the U.S. right now have a branch of the military that doesn't utilize nuclear weapons, nuclear weaponry?
I don't know what their stance is on nukes. I feel like they all have, like, I don't know, like, like I know the president can shoot nukes and he commands all the military. So, I mean, technically, yes, they all do. I mean, in a technical sense, if he's got like a space force, he's in charge of them, so he's technically part of the space force, and he has the launch codes to the nukes. So is there a way where you can have a space force where they don't have nuclear weapons in space? Or is it like literal, you can't just have a nuclear missile floating around in space?
I feel like that's like a very irresponsible way to
Yeah.
place to store your nuclears.
Like,
Your
so like if they go
nuclears.
to the moon and then sets up like a nuclear launch pad on the moon and then stores a nuclear missile inside the moon, like every comic book villain ever. I feel like once you start storing nuclear missiles in the moon, you've become the bad guy.
Categorically.
Categorically.
So really, it's just that Russia wants to do it first. And
Yeah, today I learned there's an outer space treaty of 1967,
1967.
which prohibits the deployment of weapons of mass destruction, but not conventional arms in space.
Right, so...
So you can have guns. You can pull out your 45.
Pew, 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 pew. And what constitutes mass destruction?
I don't know. What did Don Cheney say they were? I feel like
Cheese curds?
No. Buckshot to the face.
No, he's good with that one.
Yeah, he's okay with that. He's cool with that.
Okay,
We're
so
fact checking.
weapon of mass. This is very unlike us.
Yeah.
By the way,
Because he already had Wikipedia open with the navy blue thing.
weapons of mass destruction is a nuclear, radiological, chemical, biological, or other weapon that can kill and bring significant harm to a large number of humans or cause great damage to human-made structures, e.g. buildings, natural structures, e.g. mountains, or the biosphere. The scope and usage of the term has evolved and been disputed, often signifying more politically than technically.
Well, there's your answer. So it's whatever Russia deems it to be.
Blah, blah. Give me a number.
I don't think there is one.
I
I
don't
just said
think
it's a
that- yeah.
political term more than a
It's-
technical one.
Not going to. Okay. Well then,
If we had a space force in Canada, would you have enlisted in space force when we were like 18?
no, because I don't trust Canada to build.
We built the Canadarm. We're really good in space.
Yes, if it was an arm to like lift me up to space, yes, but
Mm-hmm.
mind you, we built the Avro Arrow.
Don't discount Canada's storied history in technical innovations in the aerospace world.
It's true. I might have enlisted in the Space Force.
Ooh, it's really sunny right there.
That I know. Depending on, we got to get better blinds. Better blinds in the studio.
Ah.
Better lights. All right. So, what's the significance of this story? Like, is there?
Well,
I feel like this is just Russia being blustery again.
for me, the most shocking part was just because Russia feels to be really pro-Trump as of late, and this is the first time in recent memory where it's like, no, you got to stop doing that, Trump. Like, we will come at you.
That's an interesting point.
So, I'm sort of like, what up with that?
What? Yeah. What? So, would you have preferred Russia to? This just isn't the Russia you want to have. You want to have Russia behind Trump and being like, yes.
No,
let's-
I'm not sad about it. I'm like, I'm glad someone's telling him, you can't put nuclear weapons in space, right? I'm glad someone's doing that.
I feel like it's totally like Russia
it's
and the US would
weird
be like-
that Russia is.
What? No, I don't think it's weird that it's. Of course, it's going to be Russia, because they're the only ones still in the like
I don't know. I feel like
Cold
Canada.
War,
I feel like
the
everyone should say
lukewarm
something.
war. And it is-
I mean, the other thing is like, I don't know. I think there's zero chance of Space Force actually becoming a thing.
I feel like you're right.
Like,
And
if this
I
was
feel
our
like
other show, Kickstarter Crystal Ball, I would say that this is not going to get funded.
not going to get funded.
Will not get kickstarted.
I do not believe so. But yeah, I feel like this is just like blustery, and the two kids like arguing. I got I got this toy. Well, you're not allowed to have that toy because I want that toy first.
Maybe. Maybe.
0% chance going to get funded.
Oh, my dear. Full screen you like that. All right. So, are we worried about Russia? Do we think this is going to start a new Cold War?
No.
I guess that's maybe the outcome.
Not a chance.
No.
Not going to start. No.
Yeah. Well, that's because we don't think there's actually going to be nukes in space.
I don't think it's going to happen.
All right.
What
Okay.
else we got?
Story number 2 this evening, and we are doing good.
Number the second.
I'm feeling good about this one. So the headline is: White nationalist Jared Taylor can sue Twitter for banning him. Judge rules. And I'm just going to make sure that I am displaying the right thing.
Right,
If I could
so-
find my mouse. So this is a sort of a freedom of speech thing, or a. This has a couple of different layers. So this is a freedom of speech thing, like a civil rights issue. Excuse me. This is the ability to run your own business the way you see fit issue.
Right.
And, well, there's like some racism going on here too, which is sort of what makes this as difficult as it is for a lot of people. Because it's, you know, on the civil rights thing, on the freedom of speech thing, people are often wanting to shut down racists.
I think shutting down racists is a good thing.
Yeah, but I've said it before, and if you're new to the show, you're going to learn now. I also believe in freedom of speech because I like knowing who racists are. I like being able to go, that guy's a bigot, because I can read his tweets, or I can read his messages on Facebook.
So is there a danger that he's going to incite other people to become racist?
Absolutely.
But the danger is worth the risk. How much of a danger is that? Like, I feel like it's not.
I don't know. So if you have someone, I think the risk is people who sort of maybe think this, like, you know, who hold these, let's say, white nationalist ideas, right? Like they're a young guy who, I'm going to like really generalize here based on things I hear on the radio. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be like probably a young white male who maybe has problems with his family, like he doesn't get along with his mom and his dad, and he doesn't really know who he is anymore, and so he's looking around trying to find a new group of friends, and maybe he's angry because something happened with maybe a Muslim at work, maybe got him in trouble, something like that, and so he's got this idea in his head that, us white guys got to stick together, and then he goes on Twitter and he sees a white nationalist tweeting all this stuff and goes, I agree with this guy, now I found my new family. That being said, that guy probably, if, let's say, Jared Taylor wasn't on Twitter, he'd probably still find these messages somewhere on the internet.
Right.
And he'd probably still find these groups. And so I think there's a greater risk, but there's still like a greater risk of maybe turning someone into a full-fledged white nationalist, I guess is maybe the way. I don't know how to really phrase that. The risk might be greater if you can read stuff on Twitter, but I don't think it's so much greater that it's worth hiding who all the bigots are and making it harder for everyone to locate them. Like they do it sort of now in real life anyway, where they you want to call it political correctness or whatever. You can't say the N-word anymore, which is, I'm not saying that you should be able to, right? But all I'm saying is the racists just changed their language, right? Like for a while it was thugs, it might still be that. It's just there's coding, and if you want to go and be explicitly racist. Good, I guess, because now I know you're racist and everyone knows you're racist and the cops know that you're racist, just in case you do something bad.
So Pam jumped right to the end. Pam said, I think it's okay for the baker or priest to turn away a gay couple, but something big like Twitter or a bank can't refuse service. So does the size of the private company, matter?
I don't think so. I think
So you think-
if you're going to say
So you say
that
Pam's wrong.
a little, I think if you're going to make the argument that a company can run itself as the way they see fit, then it has to go for everybody. And I would say that Twitter is, still private. They aren't owned by the government, so they have no responsibility to the private citizens to let them spew racist things that they don't agree with.
I think I generally agree. I would suggest that, like what Pam's getting towards, like a big company.
Yeah.
If you're going to, you have to give them something in return for the restriction not to be able to refuse service. So they then have to be able to become a utility or a government-funded public service, something like that. They have to get something in return for the, I don't know if hassle is quite the right word, but for the restriction that they can't refuse service.
Yeah.
So, and banks are in Canada, and in any case are under the Canada Bank Act, so they have legislation that guides what they are allowed to and not allowed to.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I was also going to say, I guess a bank can also be racist.
So,
Just we have competition with banks, generally speaking. Like there's more than
Somewhat, yeah.
I can sort of choose what bank I go to and use. With Twitter, there's not really an alternative.
right. So that
Right. So if Twitter says you can't be here, well, where do I go to microblog?
right.
I mean, I guess start a blog.
Yeah.
Get your own server.
So Pam's saying, what if you're a flag maker and someone wants you to make a Nazi flag? I'm on the side still of, if you're a privately owned company,
You can say no.
you can say no. You have the right to refuse service to anybody, and you decide how you want to run your business. And that, in my mind, that goes both for the cake makers, it goes for the flag makers,
Yeah.
it goes for the butchers and bakers,
Yeah.
and
I
I think it extends to Twitter too.
Yeah.
If they would, they're a privately held company. Are they public? They're not public, are they?
They must have an idea.
Oh, okay, hang on.
They must.
And okay, so that then is the next question. Is there's this part that's like not quite halfway in between government and privately held company, but publicly held companies. Do they have? Obviously, they have some sort of responsibility to their shareholders.
If the shareholders, I think in that case, it's kind of up to the shareholder. Like Twitter can make their first call, and then at the next shareholders meeting, because this happened with Amazon. This is happening with Amazon right now.
Twitter is a publicly traded company.
Right. So I think then the shareholders get to have their say and say, this is what we think, and you sort of go with us, or we, are no longer going to be shareholders. And this is happening with Amazon right now. So Amazon has this face recognition technology that they're selling to law enforcement, or that they're planning on selling to law enforcement. And their shareholders have stood up and said, we don't want you to do that. The shareholders, that group of shareholders, they're sort of known for being they like investing in ethical businesses, and the irony of obviously they don't care about how workers are treated on the floor in Amazon. But they do care a little bit about the ethics of facial recognition software, which is, I guess, something.
Well, it's the boogeyman.
Yeah. Anyways, so I say let Jared on Twitter. I guess. I mean, I don't agree with anything he has to say, but let him on Twitter. Let that baker not sell a cake to a gay couple.
How do you say both of those things at the same time?
Oh, sorry. Wait, what was I saying? No. You're right. Sorry, I got confused there. Twitter can keep Jared off if they want. Jeez, man, did I ever go sideways there? I was like big on my my whole
Free speech
thing. But yes.
He has. You're right. So, and to just quickly flush that out completely, absolutely, Jared wants to say these things. He absolutely has the 100% right to create his own blog, put it on the internet of his own through his own means, whatever. Yeah. He can make signs. He can put it on his answering machine, whatever. He has the right to do that. I think he's a little bit banana pants silly to do it.
Oh God.
But Twitter also has the ability to run their company how they see fit, and I think they should be able to ban anybody they want for really whatever reason they want. I mean, if they want to attract users and things like that,
that's the other thing. I mean, generally speaking, they're going to lose a bunch of other white nationalists. Like for people who are going to be like, and it's like some hardcore free speech guys
who view, and I don't agree with those people, because those are the people that are wanting to control a company that doesn't belong to them.
Mm-hmm. That's so socialist.
Yeah. Oh yeah, which I am absolutely not. So,
all right.
That's about the gist of that.
That brings us to the end of our second episode of The Gist with the new graphics. If you're watching this on YouTube, please keep in mind you can watch us do this every Wednesday live on Facebook at around 8 Mountain Time in the evening, depending on what time I started at. Sometimes I can't recognize the difference between 2 zeros and a 2 and a 6. They're all round, in my defense. Roundish. And we do have a website. You can go check it out. There's very little content on there, so, I mean, I wouldn't rush. But bourbonandzeppelins.com, that is where we're going to be posting the YouTube videos after the fact. If you have a thing against YouTube, and we're going to get into that in our Mechanical Carrots. We have a couple other shows. If you only watch The Gist, we do what we're calling right now Mechanical Carrots, which is kind of this, but more tech-based. And then we also have Kickstarter Crystal Ball, where we take a look at some Kickstarters that might be good, might be bad, and we sort of try to peer into the future and determine whether or not they're actually going to get kickstarted, and if they'll be successful or not. Anyways, once again, I've been David.
I'm Jeremy.
And good night and good luck.
See ya.